Stanley Cup playoff hockey. That's about all that's going on.
Where are the Birds?
Where are the Birds? They are, I'm
They're
inside
not
the
chirping
rink this time, so I would have had to. I would have had to catch you a little earlier to get the Birds this time.
How excited were you as a Vox, ready to call tonight's game on TV, but as a Wild fan when you saw Zuki at the skate, clearly ready to return?
Well, you always at this time of year, you want to see the best players on the ice. And to be honest with you, I wish Roope Hintz was playing for Dallas. When you get, especially in a series like this where there's this much star power, you just love to see the best guys, and because it elevates the game. And from a Wild perspective, Zuccarello's return, which appears to be imminent, we haven't officially gotten word yet that he's good to go, but I'm about 95% sure he's going to be in the lineup tonight. He just makes everything fit a little bit better. We saw it early in the season when he missed the first 12 or 14 games of the year, how even though the Wild were good on the power play, the lineup just didn't quite feel right. Now you put his name back in, everybody else trickles down to where they should be, and it just makes everything look like it fits better for the Wild.
So under the high-level assumption that Zuccarello is completely up to speed, which players benefit most over the totality of a game?
Well, I think it's pretty obvious that have a smile on his face all night. Those two guys have had a connection since his arrival. I think it helps the power play immensely. And even though we're going to talk about it a little bit tonight, the power play numbers over the course of the year were pretty good even when he was out early. But here lately, these last couple of games, it just hasn't looked the same. The puck movement hasn't been as crisp and as sharp. And you put those five lefties on the ice together, and it just, when they get the puck snapping around, it's a power play that we haven't seen in Minnesota before. I mean, they set the franchise record for the best power play in the history of the club this year, and Zuccarello is a big part of that. So I'd say at even strength, it's Kirill Kaprizov, but on the power play, he just kind of makes all of those guys, Boldy, Hughes, Eriksson, they seem to fit better, and the puck just seems to move faster when he's involved.
Okay, so unpack that for us a little bit if you have time. With Zuccarello on the power play, what makes it flow more smoothly?
Well, I think it's, number one, his vision is what makes the puck move faster. And he's not the fastest guy if it's just how long does it take you to skate from here to there, but he sees the game so well, and now all of a sudden you get the puck going east-west a little bit more efficiently with him. And that's not, Vladimir Tarasenko is an elite goal scorer over the course of his career, but he's not the playmaker that Zuccarello is. And Bobby Brink has maybe a little bit more foot speed, but he doesn't have the vision that Zuccarello has. So now he just has that little knack for when you can get the puck all the way across the ice. And you think about some of the highlight reel goals he and Kaprizov have had in their time together here, and a lot of them have gone like east to west and back to east, that a penalty kill can't get reorganized. And then you throw on top of that a guy like Quinn Hughes, who's such an elite guy walking the blue line, where Zuccarello just seems to put these guys in the best possible spots. And I think you'll see all of them benefit from his presence back on the power play.
Maybe a quick follow-up on that, Anthony, because watching the power play without Zuccarello, I've noticed, and as much as we all love Hughes, it's almost like Hughes has had to kind of do a heck of a lot more than he normally does, just trying to find that pass. You'll see him skate around, it feels like, for 35, 45 seconds, just trying to find somebody in that spot. Maybe Zuccarello makes it even easier for a Hughes.
Yeah, I think so. I think he makes it easier for all of them, but part of it is there's a trust. Hughes knows if I throw this puck to Zuccarello at the half wall and I move somewhere else, the next pass is going to be made so quickly that a kill can't, or has trouble at least, adjusting to that. And frankly, it's what Dallas's power play has done so well in this series. They've gotten the puck going around, and they possess it so well and so efficiently that Minnesota's kill has been broken down throughout the series. And I think you're right, though. I think Hughes has a tendency, when he struggles, and to say struggle is a little bit of a misnomer, but it's when he hangs onto the puck probably too long in some of those spots. And I think when you have another guy that you can trust that can quarterback things from the half wall, it takes the pressure off of any one individual. And I just think Zuccarello is one of the best. It's hard to compare because every power play is a little different, but he's about as good as it gets running a power play from the half wall.
With wild penalties tonight, Anthony, if I set the over-under at 4.5, which way would you go, over or under?
Well, it has to be under if they have aspirations of winning the game. And you just can't put this Dallas power play on the ice that many times in a game. And you get into these playoff series where you're digging and you're looking at how about from this angle? What about from this angle? What about this matchup or that matchup? It really comes down to, in my opinion, that number. If the Wild are short 3 times or less, I like their chances to win the game. If it's 4 or more, it's going to be a long night. And this Dallas power play, it's historically good. It's the best in the history of their franchise. It broke a record from back in the North Stars days from the early 80s. 1984, I think, was the year that the North Stars had set the record. It was second best in the NHL this year, but I think it was number 11 in the history of the league. This is a great power play. And even though Minnesota's kill was better this year, you just can't keep giving them chances. And in this series, in Minnesota's 2 wins, they've been short a total of 6 times. And in their losses, they've been short 13. So you just can't keep giving power play chances. I think it all comes down to being the more physical team, but yet finding a way to do that with discipline so you don't wind up in the penalty box. I mean, even if you look at Game 4, the Wild were only short twice, but Dallas scored on both power plays, and Minnesota was able to overcome it in that game. But if you make that number 4 or 5 power play chances, it's probably too much to overcome.
You know, that seems like a tough trying to thread that needle, Anthony, in the regard. If you remember back to Game 3, I'm sure you do, the tripping penalty, like a minute in, something like that. Like there's an element here where all those guys in that dressing room, they know we don't want to take penalties. Historically good power play, that puts us in trouble. What is it? 8 of 19 that Dallas has scored on the extra man. But to that end, like that can alter the way you play. And asking them to do that, I think, has maybe some negative repercussions, playing not to have a penalty. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think that's true. Although I think in this case, if you look, most of Minnesota's penalties have not been of the roughing or the scrums after the whistle. When they've gotten into trouble, it's been the stick penalties, the trips, the hooks,
Okay.
Yeah, I know Hartman got the one for goaltender interference in the last game, but those are the ones you have to avoid. You absolutely have to be smart about those. And that's what Minnesota did so well all throughout the entire regular season. They were 4th in the league in fewest time short per game. And that's just the way that they worked to play. They were still a physical team. They were still hard to play against. They just didn't take those unnecessary hooks and trips and things like that. And it's a little bit more difficult when you're in a playoff series because the pace is just quicker than it is during the regular season. So you really have to focus on that kind of discipline to, even though this guy might have just gotten a step on me, I just can't throw the stick between the skates. I can't throw the stick in on the hands to try and slow them down. So that's a part of the reason why power play opportunities are up all across this playoff is I think you just get the pace and the intensity that escalates and the magnitude of every little play where if this guy beats me down the wall right now, that could be the season, could be the series. And so guys just have that, there's a little extra edge to it, but that is the challenge is you have to find a way to still be physical, still be hard to play against, but do it without taking penalties.
Anthony, Dallas Stars, two-part question here. According to reports, and you know more because you're in Dallas at the skates, here comes Michael Bunting, who has not been active the entire series. So if that's accurate, it would be in the stead of Nils Lundqvist, who's not going to play tonight, maybe the rest of the series. How significant is Nils, and what can you tell us about Bunting?
Well, Nils is out. It won't be Bunting that takes his spot, though. It's going to be Ilya Liabushkin. There was some thought maybe Bunting would work his way in as one of the forwards, but it's going to be Liabushkin for Lundqvist on the back end.
Hey.
But Lundqvist is a loss for them. He's been a really solid defender for them, and he and Harley have been a good second pair for Dallas so far in this series. Bushkin brings a little bit. He's a big, strong defenseman. This has been a heavy series. He might fit in well there. He was pretty good with Harley in last year's playoff for Dallas when they started with Heiskanen on the sidelines due to injury. He and Harley were a pretty good tandem for them. So I think it's a loss for Dallas for sure. This is a deep team though. They've got extra guys in a few key spots, and in this particular case, to have a guy like Bushkin sitting on the sidelines ready to jump in, I think is probably it won't be as big a factor as it could have been for some other teams. And I'm a little bit surprised. I thought maybe we would see them make a change up front. And Bunting was one of the guys I thought we might see work his way in. He was a trade deadline acquisition for them, and a guy who's proven that he could score. And you got a team that's only scored 3 even-strength goals in 4 games. But Bellison just told us a little bit ago that he's not making any changes with his forward lineup. So it'll be the same crew, and I think they just have to. If I'm looking at it from the Dallas perspective, I'm looking at it saying, we have to find a way to generate something 5-on-5. We can't keep relying on the power play only to score. 3 even-strength goals in 4 games that's pretty significant defensive effort the Wild have had so far.
And Anthony, for the Wild, Pat Micheletti wants Hunter Haight in tonight for Tarasenko. Any chance that takes place?
No, I think there's no chance there. We'll have to see. Somebody is going to have to come out for Minnesota with Zuccarello coming in, and the possibility that Jakob Trenyon is ready to go is still there too. So it could be 2 guys coming out, and we'll wait to see. They haven't hit the ice here yet in Dallas, but I don't believe there's any chance that Hunter Haight returns. I think the bigger question is, I'd assume Nico Sturm probably is one of the guys out, even though I thought he was really good for Minnesota in Game 4. And then the other question would be the same one we were asking before the series. Will the last man out be Bobby Brink, Danila Yurov, maybe Nick Foligno, to make room for Zuccarello's return as well? So that's yet to be determined. We'll find out this morning, but I don't think there's any chance. And I don't think he should at this point. I mean, I think Hunter Haight looks like he's got a chance to be a good player, but not ready to jump into a game of this magnitude against an opponent like this at this point in the season.
Hey, with Danila Yurov, it seems from afar that this is a good experience for Yurov to see and feel all of this, right? Because it just feels like he's sitting on a bevy of goals.
Well, I think this is huge experience for him, no question about it. And he's had a couple chances, you're right. He's had the puck land on his stick in the slot a couple times where, who knows? Maybe you don't know what's going on in a guy's mind, but maybe 2 years from now when he's back in that spot, things don't accelerate quickly and you're able to just make the play that right now he's missed the net on a couple of those. I think we're seeing Yurov grow up down the stretch here this year, though. This is a guy who plays the game with tremendous responsibility in his own zone. John Hines, over the course of the year, almost every time we've had our meetings with him, whenever Yurov's name has come up, he's talked about how much he loves the fact that he can trust him, he can count on him, that coming back into the zone, he makes the right read almost all the time. It sounds a lot like the way we used to talk about Joel Eriksson early in his career. And if you look at the numbers, Ek compared to Yurov, they're pretty similar, where Ek wasn't doing a lot of scoring at this point, but we kept talking about how he was so responsible in his own zone, a guy you could trust. And, we think the scoring will come. We think at some point he will score. Well, he's turned into certainly a better than average scorer and one of the elite shutdown centermen in the league. I don't know if I'd say Yurov has the nastiness that Eriksson Ek has, but he sure seems to have that responsibility, and that's the reason why he's been in the lineup for Minnesota throughout this series, even though he really hasn't brought a ton offensively, is just because right now John Hines knows I can trust this guy against the best for Dallas if he happens to get caught on the ice against some of the star power for Dallas because of how responsible he is in his own zone.
Hey, Anthony, how do you jumpstart a guy like Hartman? He's kind of been the standard in the postseason, it feels like, so consistent in the playoffs for this team. And I'm watching the guy, he lost like 16 out of 21 faceoffs a couple days ago, takes a bad penalty here and there. I know he had the goal in game one, but you're winning 6-1 in that game. And, everyone looked good in game one. I just how do you jumpstart a guy like Hartman, who I feel like has had a very underwhelming series so far?
Well, I think returning Zuccarello to his wing might help to jumpstart him. I mean, that he was so good with those guys when those three were together throughout the regular season. A couple of years ago, had the big year when those three played together. Game one, when he was good, they played together. So I don't think it's a coincidence that his scoring has dried up a little bit when Zuccarello went out of this series. And again, this isn't to take anything away from the two guys I mentioned earlier, Tarasenko and Brink. Tarasenko's been a terrific add for this team this year, but it just hasn't really worked when he's played with Kaprizov. And then they threw Bobby Brink in there, who just hasn't had a ton of experience with those guys. I think he's got an upside, and hopefully that upside is here with the Wild, but right now maybe not quite there. So I think now you throw Zuccarello back on there, I'd be surprised if we didn't see that line create some chances and play with some energy tonight, because Hartman's a guy that can be an X factor in this series. And we've seen it in the last couple of playoffs where all of a sudden he's been that agitator, but yet hasn't crossed the line. And I know he took the penalty the last game, but for the most part, he's been a more disciplined Ryan Hartman all season long. I think he's one of the guys that if Minnesota finds a way to win tonight, don't be surprised if it's because his name's on the score sheet a couple times.
You're fantastic, man. We know you're busy. Thanks for making time for KFAN and 9 to noon. Call a good one tonight, and thank you very much, Anthony.
Yep, anytime.
Yep, see you about Anthony Lapanta, the heir apparent, at Anthony Lapanta via X, if you would like to follow, as 9 to noon does. And we're talking about the Wild and the Dallas Stars. Nordo mentioned it earlier. There's a Wild watch party tonight, if you are so inclined. Grand Casino Arena starts at 7 o'clock. Tickets are free, but you need them. Food and beverage there, too. Tickets are free, but you need tickets to get in to the watch party tonight, 7 o'clock, wild.com/playoffs if you are interested. Also, that was our Steve's Appliances marathon segment. Customer appreciation sales time taking place at the very best, Steve's Appliances in Mounds View. And as we mentioned yesterday, contractors, if you are bored with your substandard appliance hook, give us consideration at Steve's and learn how to connect with Sarah, Jordan, or Brian by going to stevesappliances.com. They're efficient, they're responsible, and they also will save you money on volume type stuff. stevesappliances.com. And finally, let's give away some money on KFAN.
The Fan, along with BigDeck.com, want to give you a shot at some bonus bucks, National Cash Contest style. The keyword this hour is fun, and you can enter that in at KFAN.com. The keyword is fun. Enter it at KFAN.com.
Everybody up all night last night? Or did you tune out or go to bed somewhere in the third quarter? Or maybe somewhere in the fourth quarter? Nevertheless, Boomtown Rats, thank you for the montage. Likewise for Nordo. And we thank Anthony Lapanta for putting an excellent preview on Wild and Dallas Stars for this evening. Zuki, though, we thank Ben Gessling for sharing some football thought with us. Ladies and gentlemen, we have covered more ground than Lewis and Clark today. And personally speaking, I've enjoyed it. Hopefully you have too, including talkbacks that taken place on this Talkback Talker Tuesday with a Northern Fire prize package to be announced within the next 20 minutes. Speaking of talkbacks, we have some more.
To the free iHeartRadio app.
Hey, PA. Hey, Nordo. It's Brandon for Ramsey. I think everyone just needs to calm down, you know? Jaden said, we're going to win, so let's win. If we had 5 more minutes of that game, I think we would have won last night. We almost came back and won. I mean, we just didn't get off the bus yesterday.
Give us a howl.
I think being at home,
I don't think we're going to get one.
we might win by 20.
He was going to howl.
He howled.
He was going to howl.
He howled.
Yeah, that counts as a howl.
That does count. The beginning of a...
Well, I'm going to respectfully disagree with you.
Yeah.
If they had 5 more minutes of that game, we quite honestly might have lost by 20 to 25. because the game got so out of hand in the third quarter. I just have the feel from afar, which means I'm not, here's the reality guy. So, yeah, I can be wrong. But looking for what I look for, I just felt that there were some moments where it's kind of like, all right, this ain't it. Thursday will be it. So let's make Thursday it. And that was it. That was it. Spencer Jones scored 20 points, a career high. And as I've said now for a third time this show, Spencer Jones, exactly. The likes of Nuggets greats, Alex English, T.R. Dunn, Carmelo Anthony, Dikembe Mutombo, Dan Issel, and Kiki Vandeweghe, they probably don't even know he's on the team. Clearly, we didn't know he was on the team last night because nobody guarded him. So you come to slow Jokic and or Jamal Murray, and it's Cam Johnson and Spencer Jones. Spencer Jones, who ends up beating you. He had 11 points in total during the first 4 games of the series, 20 last night. So they got to get a hold of that.
Well, come on. Play the talk back.
But come on.
Come on.
Good morning, PA. Good morning, Nardo.
Good morning.
Justin from Iowa. In regards to both series, the Wolves and the Wild, we got to make the game simpler than what they are. Cut back on the turnovers for the Wolves.
Yes, please.
And play 5-on-5 hockey for the Wild. To do those two things, I really like our chances.
Yeah, I love that.
How about that?
I love that. And if you stop turning the ball over, that means Denver will not go on a power play. And it's proven if the Wild can play 5-on-5 against the Nuggets don't score for 142 to 147 minutes.
I always love that one.
5-on-5. Now, it was a weak correlation to the Stars and the Nuggets. Okay, 3-2. Jaden McDaniels, after the Timberwolves won Game 2, and he savaged all that is Denver Nuggets defense and did so by name. I mean, worms turn. This worm has turned because they're still the same players that you mentioned by name. But here's the question. Do you have the right offensive players to expose what legitimately is a bad Denver Nuggets defense, specifically when they get into their reserves? Now, the Nuggets, it wasn't tongue-dragging terrorism last night. Shockingly, because they barely broke a sweat, because they didn't have any pressure put on them, they didn't run out of gas with 4 minutes to go in the game. But why'd that happen? Because we didn't put requisite pressure on them, because they will get tired. This is not a one-game thing. This is an every-game thing in this series. It's like you look down the bench and you got huffing and puffing, Nikola Jokic, Jamal Murray, Cam Johnson, Spencer Jones, Bruce Brown, and next to them, 6 oxygen tanks. The ones that Linval Hungry used when he scored that scoop and score at Lincoln Financial. But you got to put the requisite pressure on them to get them fatigued. Thursday should be fun.
I think every time Jokic is not on the court, Rudy needs to get off the court, too.
I like that.
And when Jamal Murray's in there, without Jokic, just throw Jalen Clark in there. He can get the fouls instead of Jaden, give Jaden a break.
I like the first part of that.
Was it the big rig sound? Listen to that.
I think
that sounds terrific.
Might be in a combine. Might be a Farming Friday on a Tuesday.
Fan on the farm on a Tuesday.
But okay, 3-2. Yeah. So if Gobert gets in significant foul trouble, obviously that's not preferred. It happened one time badly this series, 1.5 really. I think he finished one game with 4 fouls. But I like that in unison. But see, now what's the next layer to it as you unpack it? If that's the case, then Naz Reid needs to be a plus whatever, because Valanciunas, for whatever the reason, is a minus the minute he walks on the court. I mean, my man has lost his game, and he used to be one of the tougher players in the NBA. He's just not that anymore. So Valanciunas hit some shots last night, but we got tongue-dragging terrorism with him after like 3 minutes. He gets tired. I like that take, but to fulfill it, you need Naz Reid to obliterate the backup 5 they bring in.
Talkback machine.
Just wanted to share, didn't hear you guys talk too much about Julius Randle and kind of his lack of offense that we really feel like he should have been giving us a little bit more on the offensive end. This seemed like I saw a lot of turnovers, getting the ball swiped out of his hand. Just looking to get a little bit more out of Julius Randle, especially with and DiVincenzo being out.
Bro, I'm completely with you. You look at his box score and not watch the game, you think Julius showed up. Okay, He showed up. I mean, the box score's big. I mean, how many times did we see somebody beat him to the spot for a rebound and put the mug back in? I mean, at least 3 times I can remember. Julius has had some enigma to him this year. They need him to be the alpha for this team right here and right now. But the alpha without ball hogging and not including others. And is that who he is? That was a terrific talkback. The 9 to noon post game is next.
What up, final segment, 9 to noon. We call it the post game. Just looking back at an awesome Monday show. Sadly, up all night, montage giving way to a loss in Denver. We got the Wild this evening, Gessling in studio, talking about our favorite football team and the draft. And speaking of Gessling, let's listen back. I just kind of posed the question. This GM search thing just feels like it's going to get thick. And is it something that's handled in the short term? Is this something we're waiting out? All sorts of discussion around that topic during the 10 a.m. hour with Star Tribune's Ben Gessling. But here he was, just kind of the idea of, do we know for sure that Rob Brzezinski is efforting and really truly wants this long-term GM tag? He's been with the team for a long time. Here's Gessling talking about it.
He is, in his, I think, mid-50s, and the idea of, do you want to do this as possibly the last thing in your career? Because when you become the GM, if it doesn't go well, it comes back to you. That level of, stepping out on the ledge is different than if you're the cap guy, I think. Now, if you have cap trouble or somebody wants to bring in somebody different, then, maybe there's some risk to that too. But I think the forward-facing job as the top person in the front office means you are attached to the success and the failures of the franchise in a way that you're not in the current role. So does he want that? And is that something that he wants to kind of take the risk that's attached to that? I think is a good question. It's very much, I'm sure, something he's been thinking about quite a bit. I wonder a little bit too that if you went through the last one and the GM wasn't necessarily succeeding, leading the front office in the way that you want, maybe that's changed his thought process of, hey, well, yeah.
Thank you to Gessling for being in studio.
I believe the answer is yes. I believe the answer, if it were a heaven or hell equation without exactly knowing if it's a yes or a no, my discernment would lead me to yes. Rob Brzezinski does want to become the next general manager full-time of the Minnesota Vikings. And, that was interesting how Ben answered that about, do you want to be in this? Because he's been with the team so long, and it's not like, he's had his head buried in the sand. I mean, he's been involved in some very, very critical situations. I would lean the way as to, yes, he does want that job.
And, I just was laughing at the, when I faded out of Gessling there, if the lack of success, you think Kwesi willed Brazil. I got to take this whole thing over. It got so bad. I got to do this. I got to do the damn thing myself. And even alluding after the draft, we can't spend this much money anymore, guys.
My A-topic question, not just with Rob, but with full-time general manager for the Minnesota Vikings, is who has final say in the hire?
Yeah.
Okay, that's very critical for me, and I'm not a team employee. But like if people over there, if I had their ear, I would wonder who has final say on who gets the job and what is their track record with final say in making big spot hires.
I like that. Post-game, Anthony Lapanta checked in from Dallas in advance of Game 5. Here he is talking about the various benefits and who is benefiting from the return of Mats Zuccarello.
I think it helps the power play immensely. And even though we're going to talk about it a little bit tonight, the power play numbers over the course of the year were pretty good even when he was out early. But here lately, these last couple of games, it just hasn't looked the same. The puck movement hasn't been as crisp and as sharp. And you put those 5 lefties on the ice together, and it just, when they get the puck snapping around, it's a power play that we haven't seen in Minnesota before. I mean, they set the franchise record for the best power play in the history of the club this year, and Zuccarello is a big part of that. So I'd say at even strength, it's Kirill Kaprizov, but on the power play, he just kind of makes all of those guys, Boldy, Hughes, Eriksson, they seem to fit better, and the puck just seems to move faster when he's involved.
The heir apparent wavered or opted against asking an over-under question that I posed for him. I'll ask you. If you were to use your discernment, which way would you wager? Minnesota Wild penalties tonight, over or under 4.5?
I'm going to say under. I'm going to say under 4.5. Yeah. I think the discipline plays in. Mm-hmm. I still think Dallas is going to get a couple chances tonight. And so how we mitigate, just beautiful scoring opportunities that they find themselves in with the man advantage.
Yep.
We got to be on it tonight. So
I don't know who finished first in the NHL with power play rankings. I know Dallas was second, Minnesota was third during the regular season.
I'll find it in a second.
I don't see how it's possible anybody can have better power play personnel than what the Dallas Stars put out there.
Yeah, I feel so dumb about that, too, watching this series. Like, I know who Heiskanen is. I know Duchesne. I know some of these guys. Rantanen and Heiskanen have just been otherworldly to watch. And with Robertson, just kind of the unassuming existence he has, despite being an absolute badass, into Wyatt Johnston, that's a crazy.
And Duchesne.
And Duchesne as well.
It just keeps coming at you in waves. And, the bumper area, that's.
I should have known it was Edmonton, 30% on the power play.
Yeah, they're with Dallas. You're hearing boxes and analysts say a couple of things a lot these days. One is bumper with the slot low and high, and also time and space. So-and-so had a lot of time and he had a lot of space. But Johnston led the NHL in power play goals, and it wasn't even close. But they rotate him and others in that slot bumper bit. Yeah. So, not only does it come at you in waves, they're so confident on the power play with the tape to tape and setting up things. It really is a beautiful thing to watch.
It really is. And as we put a wrap on the post game and on a Monday 9 to noon, which was a Talker Tuesday, presented by Northern Fire Grilling and Barbecue Supply. The talkback of the day that will get a $25 Northern Fire Grilling and Barbecue Supply gift card. Let's listen.
Hey, PA. Long-time listener since 1998 on AM 1130 with PA and Dubé.
Hey.
All the Timberwolves need to do is clean up their turnovers and make smart decisions. 25 turnovers lead to, 30-something points? We clean that up, we easily win Game 6 with our crowd roaring. Oh!
Congratulations to Eric on the talkback and the gift card to Northern Fire Grilling and Barbecue Supply. Yes, fewer than 25 turnovers should lead to positive results for the Howl.
And in honor of your throwback to days gone by, Puffy, go Wild tonight. Listen to it on KFAN. Thank you very much for listening to 9 to Noon. The program with Dan Cole, the Common Man, is next. For Nordo, I'm Paul Allen. May God bless you and all of your families, and have a wonderful day today. 9 to Noon will be with you tomorrow when we all rise and shine at 9. Bye-bye.
And just one last reminder, watch party, Grand Casino Arena, wild.com/playoffs for your free tickets. Gate 1 open at 6:30, games at 7, towels, hockey lodge, food and beverage. Go join the Game 5 watch party at Grand Casino Arena later today.
If it's good news or money, leave a message.
Podcast today's Paul Allen Show, or listen back to previous show and interviews by going to the iHeartRadio app or KFAN.com.